Started off into it. I'm your host, as always. This is the NWA Powerrr review, brought to you by Wrestling Underground, presented by RealNerdCorp.com. I'm your host, as always, Chad Porto. And joining me, as always, is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Down 3 times.
Booby juice, booby juice, booby juice.
But what's up, people? Yeah, this is we back. NWA is they on fire right now to me. So this is another good show.
Well, I don't know if they're on fire, but they're certainly caliente. Firstly, we had no show on the Sunday because it was the Super of Sundays, the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs kind of wrecked the entire San Francisco fan base because they did what they've been doing all year. Hey, Pat, you want to play? Eh. Hey, Pat, it's second quarter. We're down by 10. You want to play? Eh. Pat, third quarter, down by 116. You want to play? Meh. Hey, Pat, 4 minutes ago, fourth quarter, we're down by 3,000 points. Do you want to play? Yeah, now I play. 2.5 minutes later,
Right.
They're up by 18. How did that even happen? Pat just goes, oh. he's so goddamn likable.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Andy Reid. Finally had his WrestleMania moment.
Right? And it's ruined by all the players throwing cold liquid on him. And then like he's photobombing people. Andy Reid, you're 61. Why are you photobombing people? I was kind of torn because on one hand, Patrick Mahomes is such a good dude, and if he gets the ring, he now becomes like the heir apparent to the Brady-esque title. But on the other hand, Jimmy Garoppolo was going to get traded to Cleveland, so if he would have won, I would have had like 3 weeks worth of work off of that one story. So on one hand, congratulations to Pat Mahomes. On the other hand, fuck you. Taking money out of my pocket. I had no vested interest in that game. What about you?
No, same. I mean, I liked it. Partial to the Chiefs. I was more partial, obviously, when Alex Smith was killing it. But I've been looking for Andy Reid to finally get that chip for a while now. He's probably one of the most winningest coaches without like the biggest win that you need to be considered that guy in the NFL. So it was cool to see him finally get that win. But other than that, just kind of wanted to check out, see who was at the game, obviously the commercials, and there was 2 significant reasons to watch the Super Bowl. So I mean the halftime show.
It's all right. Isn't that what Shakira did? Let's be honest. At least I'll be honest. The halftime show and the commercials this year were not for me. I think the only good commercial was the only commercial I enjoyed was the Bill Murray stuck in the loop again commercial where he's back in Groundhog Day, and they got like all the other characters to come back for it. I thought that was great. That was A+.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I mean, I didn't catch as many of them just because I think I was occupied watching something else, but wasn't so much as entertainingly or overly hilarious as it was. Oh, that was interesting. Like you saw that Memorial one.
Mm-hmm. That one scared the fuck out of me.
Oh man, technology, man.
I just liked at the end when his wife was there and he's like, take it. And she's like, okay, that's one. That was great. For the halftime show, I don't think I've ever really enjoyed a Super Bowl halftime show. And I was just thinking about this idea. What about instead of having a dumb concert where it's basically just like, do you remember those little tiny plastic playbacks from like 2000 where it was like half a song and you'd plug in and you just play it and you're like, yeah. And they're like super popular, like NSYNC and Britney Spears. Maybe it was like a full single. But that's kind of how I see these Super Bowl shows. They're not really shows. They're just highlight reels of their best songs. And I'm just like, why would I? I've been to, I'm not going to exaggerate this number so you can understand that this is pretty close. I've been to about 700 plus concerts in my life. Because that used to be what my career was. I used to do private security and concert security. And I can tell you the best concerts aren't done in 14 minutes. So I don't really understand the appeal anymore to these halftime shows because they're never anything different. They're always just, let's do 90 seconds of this song, 90 seconds of that song. We'll have this and this and this. I actually think, Marcus, that they would be better served having like an MMA fight or like pro wrestling matches between halves if you really want to do something. Because at least then you can get the full experience of a fight. Like imagine if the UFC or Bellator or whoever had a title fight. Because there's about 30 minutes in between half. You could do a 25-minute fight.
Oh, I mean, oh hell, if since they so obviously they want a good image and they always talk about giving back and showing I guess respect to the legends, they could do something with the some more better aged and in shape veterans like I don't know like a celebrity boxing thing for charity.
Yeah.
Or something.
Or the CTE Bowl, where we have all 50-plus football players coming in.
Oh, the CTE Bowl.
Just have Jerry Rice catching passes from Brett Favre, and then they're hawking that bronze, gold, fucking fiberware that they use. So, I mean, I've never been a J-Lo fan, but I am a big Shakira fan. And when she started doing that wherever, whenever, and she was doing that hip thing where she just thrusts her entire groin, I'm like, I'm 15 again, and I am happy. I love me some Shakira. I mean, it is what it is, and here's the thing: like, this isn't like a new thing. One of my favorite musicians of all time is Bruce Springsteen, and I didn't even like his halftime show. Like, they're just not very. So, like, whatever. I think the Super Bowl has too much pomp and circumstance outside of the actual game. But it is what it is. That's how you attract the quote-unquote casual fans. That's why, more people watch the Super Bowl than any combination of people watch a single week of football throughout the year for a reason. Because it's much more broad in that regard. I just want to try something different with the halftime shows. Like, do a comedy bit. Like have, like, Jeff Dunham or Steve Harvey or whoever, like do like a 20-minute comedy set. I think that would go over a lot better, but I don't know. I just want to see something different with the halftime show is all.
No, man, I get you, because like you said, it's basically just more bombastic versions of things we get from them on a late night show.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Marcus, how about this idea? Jousting. To the death.
Which is secretly our way of creatively getting away with CTE Bowl.
Jack Borabach is great here for the CTE Bowl.
And then me and Chad secretly sponsor somebody just so we can get the line, "You have been weighed."
You have been weighed. You have been measured. And you have absolutely, positively been found wanting. May Lord have mercy on your soul.
Oh, man.
Speaking of mercy, God damn Melina. The Hispanic women were in full force this weekend, I tell you what.
Full fuego this week.
Ooh. I know who our woman crush is going to be tomorrow, assuming she hasn't been used in last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we do cover a lot of just exquisite women, but she is certainly one of the, and we've talked about several women, but she is aged exquisitely.
Yes. She got them good genes. She's 40. She looks 28. It's redonkulous. Not since Tim Storm, who has looked 39 for the last 50 years, has someone looked so good and so old.
Can't say the same about this week's rendition of Mama Storm.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know what kind of hormone supplements gives an old woman facial hair, but Mama Storm needs to stop taking it. So let's start with this week's show. We open up with Tim Storm coming out. It's Joe Galli, and he's all like, "Hey, Joe. Hey, Tim." And basically the gist of the first part was, hey, they're saying you're retired. Are you retired? And Tim Storm's like, nah. And I don't know why people were saying he's retired, considering like we've kind of addressed the situation for the last, I don't know, 6 weeks. But whatever. He's like, not only am I not retired, I'm trying to get reinstated in the heavyweight division. But I got to go through some stuff to get there. Then Joe was like, hey, I heard your mom's here. And Tim's like, my mom's not here. And then Thom Latimer and the Amazonian, they're already out. And then all of a sudden, Mama Storm comes out, and she's looking a little haggard. She's looking a little haggard.
Why Mama Storm? What a big ass.
Oh, Mama Storm, what fuzzy facial hair you have. Oh, Mama Storm, what a dangly clitoris you have. Needless to say, Tim Storm wasn't having it, but instead of slapping the taste out of this Monty Python kind of actor, he ends up leaving, and Joe Galli's just like, I report real news. Because he does. He's an actual real-life reporter. Then we got some reviews, some recaps, some highlights. But then we get to Ricky Starks. He's on commentary with Stu Bennett. Marcus, did you say something? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, okay. He's on commentary with Stu Bennett and Joe Galli. He's got the TV title, but he's not defending it. Instead, he's here to watch what seems to be a contenders match, if you will, between Matt Cross and Caleb Conley. This is a good match. I like this match.
Yeah, agreed. I like this match too. I mean, it really set up something, really a treat for the fans because of their styles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not we don't see a plethora of high flying and stuff. It's mixed in with guys like Starks and obviously Cross and Caleb, but it's not throughout the entire show. And obviously, you know, the NWA has done a good job with keeping a lot of their classic themes and wrestling styles while also showcasing some of the more modern as well. But this was a real showcase of that modern type of deal, and I thought those guys played well off each other. And it was, like you said, it was a really good match.
I think one of the best things about this one was not just how the wrestlers in the ring were put over, but how Ricky Starks incidentally put himself over as well, because I think it was him who at one point said what people don't realize about Caleb Conley is he's proficient in catch wrestling. And I might be wrong on who I'm remembering who said that, but I'm pretty sure it was Starks, and I'm pretty sure that when he said it, it was, you know, to highlight how good Caleb Conley really is, and to help further explain the differences between Matt Cross and Conley's in-ring style. You don't hear a lot of wrestlers when they do commentary breaking down the action, and it inadvertently kind of gives you the subtext when it comes to Starks that he is, in fact, a student of the game and is very knowledgeable on how to beat someone. And it gives him another wrinkle to who he is. So often, wrestling fans just want to hear a promo. They want to see the intensity. They want the cool John Moxley character. I'm coming out with an eye patch because I'm a pirate. Yarg. But what they really don't realize is, even subtextually or even subconsciously, when they hear a wrestler speak, it inadvertently affects how they're being viewed. So when you have a wrestler just saying pedantic and very generic things, that's going to land with you. And that's part of the reason why Seth Rollins has never really clicked, or why Roman Reigns has never really clicked. Because when they break down guys or talk about opponents, they speak in the most simplistic ways. And that's never going to put over your opponent. It's never going to put over yourself. And it's going to really make the whole thing just be paint by numbers. And I think that's something that Starks and the NWA commentary team, especially with Stu Bennett, has been able to do, you know, for the last couple of weeks, and that's giving each guy kind of their own specific brand and style. And I think more wrestling commentary needs to be that way. The NWA is about putting over talent, while the WWE is about pushing stories. And there's a difference between the two, and there's a reason why one is being heralded and the other one's kind of being chastised.
I mean, just excellent point. 100% agree. And if it's not about, WWE is not about pushing, like you said, the storylines. It's about getting sound bites.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guys just going to business for themselves for whatever reason, even though they're probably being yelled at by the 70-some-year-old man. for most of the show. But getting back to Starks again, this guy he seems like he just has it all. Because not only is he getting over other talent, but himself. And the same way, just like you said, he's not just watching his opponents; he's studying them, right? It's all the more important because he has to keep an eye not just on you know, because now it's a double-edged sword. Obviously, you want to be a fighting champion, or he wants to be a fighting champion. Um, but he also has, another goal because, later in the show we get reminded of the Lucky Seven by Sean Mooney. You know what that means. We talked about what that means. He wins 7 matches. Basically gets a shot at the world title, the world's heavyweight title at Aldis. But he can't do that if he's too busy looking past his opponents and taking them lightly.
Hmm.
You don't look over guys like Conley or Cross or Murdoch, who he beat for the championship. So this guy's he's real good at being able to juggle multiple things at once. The looks, the in ring, and the promos. A lot of guys have to kind of put all their focus into one because obviously they are not as pronged as a talent. So
I think the one thing holding Starks back is a little bit of originality. One of the hardest things to do when you're in wrestling or MMA or any type of combat sports is to have not just a unique personality, but one that's wholly your own. And that's why whenever you see it happen, you will often see people try to mimic or copy it. Two really good versions of that uniqueness and I know Marx isn't the biggest fan of the guy, but the Mongrovian Nightmare, the question mark, that's a wholly unique gimmick, and Ricky
yeah,
Starks, not Ricky Starks, who the hell is that? Ziggy Dice,
yeah,
very unique, unlike anyone else. Now Ziggy Dice may have some similarities to like a Joey Ryan type, but Ziggy Dice is more a 1980s creepy comedian than anything else. Like he reminds me more of Andrew Dice Clay than he does like a 70s porn star. But that's not something to bag on Ricky Starks for. He just needs to continue to evolve because eventually he's going to find that specificness that is all his own. Like Jeff Hardy. Think about Jeff Hardy. When he broke in and started to blow up in 1999, he was just a dude who wore velvet shirts and floppy jean pants. But he eventually evolved into something that was wholly his own. So I think in time, Ricky Starks could develop that as well. So, it's not so much a criticism, but just something to, as a fan, keep an eye on so you can see the evolution and appreciate it.
yeah. I mean, agreed. Real quickly. I mean, as much as we love the guy, Drake, as great as he is on the mic, he gets a lot of uh, has had commentary from people saying like he sounds very similar to The Rock
Mm-hmm.
in his cadence, certain things like that, and certain elements of Stone Cold and what have you. And that's honest. I mean, and when somebody like him who studied the greats very much fits into the product of NWA because of that, that style that he kind of kins himself to so much. Certain stuff like that kind of blends in. What works is he's taken that stuff and kind of honed it into his own thing, but every now and again you kind of see those instances. So I definitely get what you're talking about when you talk about the complete originality of something like the Mongrovian Nightmare or Ziggy Dice because it's so far left that I don't think anybody would dare touch something like that. But for them it works.
And it's always something that ends up, quickly being pounced on and, you know, basically blood dry of its originality. So you got to constantly be evolving. Next up
Yeah.
was a promo with Nick Aldis. I don't know if this was the plan all along, but originally it was announced that Nick Aldis would be hearing from Marty Scurll, on this edition of NWA Powerrr. But Aldis kind of acknowledged, like, hey, Marty's not gotten back to us yet, so I guess we're going to find out what's going to happen at Ring of Honor's Free Enterprise. Apparently that's the show coming up this Sunday or Saturday. I didn't know it was a thing, but here we are. So that's going to be when Marty announces his pending deal with Nick Aldis and the NWA. So I like the what's the word I'm trying to think of? The synergy between NWA and Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I just wish that if this was going to be a thing that you had said, in advance, where it wasn't going to be announced until Free Enterprise, to not to kind of do the promo where you said like, hey, tell me on, next week. And I have a feeling that this was a change of plans because usually what happens when Nick's doing these promos from his house, it's filler because they had to cut something. Because this is exactly what they did with the Jim Cornette stuff. We got a lot of Nick Aldis talking in his apartment or house or whatever it is. And I think that's what they did again to further kind of hype up Free Enterprise because Free Enterprise has not been a well-booked show. That's just being honest. I think the main events like PCO versus I don't even fucking remember. It's nothing that I'm impressed by. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's been real cool to see the reemergence of PCO as I've gotten more to know him in this incarnation of the guy. But I've really not cared to watch any of his time in Ring of Honor as his champion. So, if that tells you anything. But, yeah, I mean, also they're looking to put put a spark in the company with everything that's, between his working relationship and Big Money Marty. They're looking to hopefully go in a more, significant direction. I do think it's funny instead of like a put up or shut up scenario. It's kind of like a put back or shut up because obviously the whole point is he's rebuffing people their money if he,
And
loses.
that was something that was also kind of tackled in this one, which I actually liked, where Nick Aldis said, if you have a better offer, suggest it. Because what I said to you last week, I thought held true, where if they go with this idea where Marty has to refund all the tickets, then that definitively says that Nick is losing. But if they come up with a different idea, then that again kind of muddies the water on who would win. I don't like
Yeah,
these kind of, ultimatum matches because you can always predict who's going to win based off of, what's going on. If you have
yeah,
someone like Kane, if he loses, he got to lose the mask. But if he wins the IC title. He's not going to lose the mask, at least normally. Like if Sting has to retire at 32, unless he doesn't win the title, it's like well, obviously Sting's gonna fucking win. So like they're very predictable. Now here's the lineup for the show. I'm gonna go in reverse order. Excuse me. Alex Zane is taking on Andrew Everett. Sumi Sakai is taking on Session Marth Martina. Joe Hendry and Dalton Castle are taking on Vincent and Bateman. Jeff Cobb and Dan Maff are taking on the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham.
mm,
Slacks, SLEX, is taking on Flip Gordon. The Briscoes are taking on Flamita and Bandito. Brody King is taking on Ray Horace. There's a battle royal, and the champion, the winner will face off with PCO at a future date. And then the main event is PCO and Marty Scurll versus Nick Aldis and Roosh.
mm. I will say, hearing that card, I'm more interested in the latter half of it.
It definitely does have some Slex appeal. I'm so terrible. So we'll get the answer there. I think what's going to end up happening is that Marty will make a counter offer that will end up setting up the match between Nick and Marty in the rematch. Next up, we get maybe one of my favorite, definitely one of your favorite portions. Actually, flip that. Definitely one of my favorite, maybe one of your favorite portions of the show. And that's anything to do with the Pope Daddy. I don't mean this facetiously. I like to be someone who speaks a very authentic point of view. I don't like being overly dramatic. I don't like, putting a lot of errors. I don't like saying things that I can't back up. I would genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that the Pope D'Angelo Nero is a top 20 all-time talker. Like
I mean, I'm right there with you.
he's fantastic. He's got, and here's the thing: like, there's so many times, like, when he was in WWE with Sylvester Terkay, excuse me, I don't know if he didn't have any type of confidence, or if he was given bad material, or if he was still just learning. But he didn't really have much of an impact. No pun intended. Then he goes to TNA in 2009, and he starts to find something with that. What was it? The Black Pope was that
Angelo,
the name?
yeah,
He
yeah.
started to be like this street preacher, and it was really catchy. Then, of course, Hogan and Bischoff fucked that up. But then he comes back as a commentator, and you started to hear a lot of his, excuse me, a lot of his bravado and a lot of his his big energy kind of being pushed aside for being more of an analytical, more of a sympathetic voice. And now with his current heel run, you remember again just how devious he can be with his wordage and how almost cruel he can be in a very simplistic way. And I think when you realize just how vastly different he is across all realms of speaking, he can be the uplifting hero, he can be the bombastic villain, or he can be the analytical commentator. You know, that takes a lot of effort and a lot of challenges. Like, ask me right now if I thought I could do play-by-play or color commentary for a live wrestling show. I don't know. That's an enormous possibility.
Yeah.
I can do a podcast. I can speak out of the side of my ass. I can charm a girl into a date. But not all speaking talents transfer universally. You know, just because you can shoot a ball through a hoop doesn't mean you can swing a bat or put a puck in the net. Not all talents are universally lateral. So Pope, to be able to do all the things he does and do it as well as he does, you know, so consistently, shows you just how good he is so all the damn time. And he's actually making the Dawson douchebags into people that I'm like, oh, all right, let's see what's going on. And that is a miracle in of itself.
A true miracle about, of course, the Pope. That's so a wink of irony there. But yeah, I mean, the guy's just, I mean, again, he's a multi-tool player. I also think there's a bit of a coup de grace, if you will, with or a little cherry on top, I should say that better wording it, about him having the shades on while he's essentially, no pun intended, shading somebody. Like there's something about not being able to see somebody's eyes while they're clearly talking trash to you, specifically when you're a man's man, like, you know, Kingston, who is a perfect for a scenario like this, and really, I mean, the guy just brings a level of passion that you can't even pay guys to do sometimes. So, what was the line? I didn't commit suicide because of homicide.
Something like that.
Yeah, suicide because of homicide, and delivered by most people, that's corny, but him, you know, that works. So, but yeah, the Pope is great. The guy looks the part, you know, talks the part, walks the part. So, it was just a genius move bringing him in, and the you know, the tease of slowly but surely, because the guy's in phenomenal shape. Him and Caprice, you know, stay in great shape, but the slow tease of potentially getting him in the ring, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Again, I'm going to promote the idea of Caprice and D'Angelo doing not street prophet, because that's already been taken, but a street preacher type gimmick where they're actually preaching on the streets, not just using a very cool name to talk about partying. Like, that would be cool. Oh, I would vibe so hard with that. Secondly, the best line of the night, Marcus, I think has to go to Mama Storm's ridiculous doppelganger when she said, maybe you should go back to school and learn how to win. I was like, damn.
Like, come back here, I'm going to put you on my knee and spank you like I did 1904.
like, you know, as cringy as that was, the lines that were being used by the doppelgram, the doppelmom, was fantastic. As for Kingston, yes, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, I feel like Storm had to walk off before he bust out with the laughing.
Right, exactly. Like, some of those lines were just such good burns. As far as Kingston, I've been saying this for a lot of years. I believe that Kingston is the most underappreciated, underrespected, and undervalued pro wrestler I've ever seen in my lifetime. He is one of the best talkers. He is so good in the ring, and his style is very efficient in the fact that he's not like a Ricochet or a Will Ospreay, who you need to worry about at 35 breaking down and being completely useless. He's like a Terry Funk. He could be very competitive, very realistic into his late 50s if you wanted. So for so many companies to not see the value in him is perplexing as hell to me. I don't agree with a lot of Billy Corgan's talent evaluations. Clearly, a lot of this roster is made up of guys who were brought in by other people. But Kingston's someone who I think really does have everything you'd want in a wrestler, because he feels authentic, he feels real, and he's someone that you genuinely can see as being intimidating. So I think, you know, Kingston really has been given the short staff in a lot of companies, and I hope that this is where he finally gets the opportunity to show what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, agree. I mean, because it feels like, what he's doing now, the stuff he's saying now, really and kind of encompasses his journey, across a lot of companies, specifically his stuff in Impact with, Homicide, and stuff of that nature. Because I mean, that is real history there, and that's one of the best things about NWA. They use real, instances in historical context. That's why that talk between, Aldis and Scurll was so good, as good as a quote unquote 5-star match last week, is because it has such visceral, legitimate history behind it. Like Scurll's, determination to finally be a champion. He's one of the most talked about guys that's never held a actual world championship. And Aldis, he probably was a world champion at a time when he really didn't even have the tools to really be that person. So, or all the tools to be that person, if you will. So, that's some legit history there. But Kingston will make a situation feel real, even if it was completely fabricated. So again, that kind of just speaks to the intensity that guy brings both in and out of the ring.
He's fantastic. I had another thought, but I completely lost it when I was speaking about Kingston. Unfortunate, but hey, that's life. I'm curious to see where they go with this. I think at the end of the day, it could be a lot of real fascinating. Kingston did have two allies. It's the Bouncers, two Ring of Honor cats, but
Yeah.
these aren't guys that I'm big fans on. So it was what it was.
And if you've seen these guys, the title Bouncers may take on a different meaning. So
they're like the fat twins from Alice in Wonderland. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Is that who that was? Speaking of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, next up we have Aaron Sandow with the Mongrovian Nightmare, the question mark. And they're talking about all these damn things, and then Trevor Murdoch's like, hey, I lost to Ricky Starks. I like Ricky Starks. He's a competitor. He's a champion. He's willing to defend that belt. I don't like you so much. So I thought that was like a great, like, again, like these are minor things that major wrestling companies, specifically the WWE, does not do that they could be doing to put over guys. This had in no way any inflection or reflection on Ricky Starks. Like there was no, like he was not involved in this and he won't be involved in this. But it was like a little minor moment to not only put over who Ricky Starks is, but also put over who the shooter Aaron Sandow is. Is that his nickname, Shooter? Well, what's Sandow's nickname these days?
Oh man, you got so many.
I know he's the third-degree national champion.
Third-degree black belt or something?
Yeah, third-degree national champion black belt or something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, this was a showcase, or I should say this was from last week, so this was to build up to the match this week. Then we got this interesting interview or vlog segment with Valentine. Was that her name?
May Valentine.
May Valentine, Maya Valentine, something like that. I don't know if she has like a bit of a speech impediment or if she's from like Yugoslavia. Is Yugoslavia even a country still? Ukraine? Somewhere in the Eastern Bloc?
I don't know, but great minds, because I was on a similar track where like I see that she's talking. Something's off here.
They put over like I don't know what the whole point of this Valentine promo was, because she's like, I made a new friend, and she's just talking about Caleb Connolly, and they're like, yeah, we're in such love, and they're arguing. It's like, I know what they're trying to show. They're trying to show that what's his face isn't really a good dude, but like it kind of, it oversaturates the wrestling marketplace, so to speak, with another relationship-based angle where the girl's constantly being yelled at by the guy. Like how many damn relationship angles do we need in wrestling, man? Like, I know you're not supposed to book your show off of what the other show's doing, but to give someone who, one, really wasn't that good of a promo, a good 4 or 5 minute promo segment, I feel you did yourself an injustice, and I don't think it had the intended consequences you were hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, we got more type of emotions and nonverbals and what have you from Melina just not talking on commentary, and this girl spent how, like you said, what, 4 minutes talking or something like that?
At least.
At least, I mean, obviously, Melina has had time to, because I think this girl, this woman in particular, kind of decided that wrestling was something she kind of wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then kind of found some kind of way to get an opportunity. Um, and that's no knock on her, but other people have had time to hone their craft and that persona and just their body language. With her, it's coming off very weird. I don't know if they're doing this whole dumb blonde fake out thing, and later she's gonna be revealed to be this two timing, pardon the old phrase, but hussy.
I
Um,
love that word. You hussy.
oh, Jezebel, tramp. Um, and then Royce Isaac's gonna have to deal with the fallout as his good buddy Thomas just consoles him with his girlfriend standing right behind him. But who knows? All I know is, I mean, that there's investment between her and Isaacs just because we've seen and got more stuff from them. I don't care about the guy in the arm sling. So if they're just gonna like cycle in guys for her to console at ringside while dudes wrestling every week, that's one thing. But if they try to keep it over the same guy, it's like, okay, this is on some Rusev, Lana, Lashley light crap. Like, so.
I just have no real interest in either of these guys. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
She's not a good promo, and he kind of just, I don't know. He looks like a shorter version of what's that singer from the WWE, part of the Vaudevillains?
Freaking oh damn it, what
Exactly.
was his name?
Him.
I mean, got you like exactly. Thank you, good sir. But it's also becoming one of those situations like, damn it, you were the best, and
Aiden
then I
English.
heard you speak. Aiden English, there it is. Yeah, but she's also might fall into that category as like, damn it, you were phenomenal to look at, and then you talked, and now.
So I want to be very clear. I don't correlate intelligence with the ability to speak.
Yeah.
That's not always a strong sign of anything. But in the world of pro wrestling, you need to do one of two things well. You need to fight, or you need to finesse. If you cannot fight in the ring, you need to finesse on the mic. And if you cannot finesse on the mic, you need to fight in the ring. And if you can't do either, you have no place being on the roster. I don't know if Valentine Amia, whatever her name is, I don't know exactly what Billy Corgan sees in her. But unless she's a wrestler, like an actual can go in the ring type of wrestler, I wouldn't have her on the roster. She's just chewing up money at that point. But if she can go to a monicum of ability,
Yeah.
there's value there.
Yeah. Absolutely, and to your point, like you said, you don't equate looks to intelligence because you could have one of the most intelligent, great-looking specimens ever, but they have the most annoying voice known to man.
Yeah.
and that has nothing to do with intelligence level. So yeah,
this is a superficial industry, and people need to realize that. And superficial doesn't just mean looks; it means general value. Being someone that people like is not simply good enough anymore. You need to be someone who emphatically can sell tickets, sell a fight, sell a reason to tune in. And if you can't wrestle exciting matches and you can't cut incredible promos, then what the hell are you doing? It's just that simple. So, speaking of which, Shooter Stevens is taking on Trevor Murdoch for the national championship. Stupid made an illusion that it was for a 10-minute time limit or something of that effect. And the match ends up going the distance. Murdoch, though, pins Stevens after the match. I don't know, since it's a time limit draw, obviously Stevens retains. So after the match, Murdoch ends up counting the mat himself 3 times because he had pinned Stevens. So it's one of those things where Murdoch still goes over, and that's a good thing. But Stevens keeps the belt. What do you think of this
Yeah.
one?
I liked it, but I didn't enjoy watching it. If that makes any sense, because it was slow. It was, very methodically paced, which works not only for the character, but for the whole thing with Stevens and the mask guy. But you know, it's only so much you can be able to stretch this out. Like it works right now, but we haven't necessarily seen a lot of these, and we've seen Murdoch in more tighter spots and come out victorious. So they're gonna kind of have to mix things up here. Either allow him to become very wise very quickly to this game that Stevens is running, or you know, obviously insert the mask guy in there because that Spike is like um, a more non-aggressive version of Umaga's Spike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of those where the what was it called? The Samoan Spike.
yeah,
It never got the love that it should have. Truthfully, I thought that was a great fucking move because there was so much emphasis behind it. Just not the same with
yeah,
the Mongrovian Nightmare. So let's
yeah.
see.
Yeah, it comes out like a double chop to the throat, whereas the spike was like this hardened thing that got jammed into your jugular, and guys was coughing up blood every week. Like I remember when they were pushing it hard, John Cena, other guys like were literally coughing up blood. He'd actually put the guys on the shelf for a couple of weeks with that move. So they put effort into it, like you said, they just never really got the love that it should have.
So we got a Ziggy Dice backstage promo. We got Ricky Starks recap with Sean Mooney. Sean Mooney part of the fact that he's now with the NWA and how happy and
Yeah.
how grateful he is to be with them. So that was cool. But the next major moment of the show came when I believe it was a tag team title match, although I might be wrong saying that. But it was Josephus and do you remember the other cat's name?
No, I don't. I think that was the point.
Josephus and non-black Josephus. Well, actually, no. Josephus and black non-Josephus. There we go.
Oh, I think. Oh, I was looking at it. I coined him Thick Swan.
Thick Swan. Love it. So Thick Swan and Josephus. Billy Crack and Josephus. They're taking on James Storm and Eli Drake. Josephus seems to look just like the Mongrovian Nightmare. I'm not saying they're the same person. I'm not saying they're not the same person. I'm just saying that if the Mongrovian Nightmare ends up being Josephus, you heard it here first.
Exactly. we we will bitch about getting our credit.
Like, listen, there's a lot of pillowy white dudes who need to shave. Like, I'm not going to deny that. It's a very common thing. But what are the odds that the same skin tone, the same facial hair, and the same head of hair are on two different people in one company? I'm just saying. The champs win, though. It's not really that close of a fight. They celebrate. I don't even remember how it ended. I was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
just
I do. Drake with a fireman's carry into um, the backstabber. Could have been better executed, but it is nice to see them starting to, think about having some tag team cohesion. So
fireman's carrying. That seems like a dumb move. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, okay. Is a reverse fireman's carry? Is that how he did it?
yeah,
Okay. Still dumb.
then it comes down on Storm's knees. Yes.
Like, it doesn't make it better, but at least it makes more sense in my eyes.
Yeah.
Then in the main event, we had Thunder Rosa versus Allison Kay. I wouldn't be surprised if they made the move that they made because Allison Kay kind of put her foot in her mouth because she went hardcore after Tessa when her best friend Jessica Havoc is super not problematic either. And if I'm a wrestling promoter and I'm seeing a talent basically making it harder to do business in the industry, I'm going to be like, I don't need this headache. You're done. So I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know if that's not what happened. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa gets the win though. Just dominates Allison Kay.
Yeah, I mean it was another solid match between these two. I mean I think even Bennett made the comment. It was like matches that we've seen these two girls have you know, career definers, if you will, specifically because we're really seeing Thunder Rosa really shine in all that she is as a performer. Like I said, it's almost eerie in a way, looking, knowing that we saw her as often as we did in Lucha Underground, and she was in such an underutilized role. If she was this talented that whole time, and like getting back to your point about, um, you know, decision possibly being made because Allison stuck her foot in the mouth. Regardless of how it happened, Kay's good, Rosa's better.
Yeah.
Like in just every instance. I mean, the look, the demeanor, the move set. Like I said, this is one of the few women who can put face paint on and look hotter. Like so, like that just says so much. She really has it all. So you know, like I said, they're lucky to have both, you know, those talents on there, and then growing talents like a what was the two young ladies that came out to kind of buffer Marty Bell, who
Ashley Vox and was it Swole? Is that her name?
no, it's not Swole. It's the Swole's in AEW. Um,
Oh, it was the woman who debuted against was it against Ashley Vox? No. She debuted at the pay-per-view.
yeah,
I can't remember her name.
name escapes me, but yeah, those two ladies are coming up, and obviously Melina's just waiting in the wings. But did you feel awkwardly? Did you feel like the Marty Bell thing was very awkwardly placed, specifically considering that both parties was like beat it?
Yes, but I wonder if that wasn't supposed to be the point, though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I've been watching Picard. It's all right, but like, there's a lot of times when I'm like, oh, this is so depressing watching Patrick Stewart at 76 trying to run upstairs and like clutching his chest, like, I can't, I'm too old. And I'm wondering, you know, like, I know that's how I'm supposed to feel, but it still sucks. And I'm wondering if that's the same case here, where, you know, Bell came out and they're both like, no, get the fuck out of here. And it was very awkward, but is that what they were going for? Because Billy Corgan isn't a conventional booker, so he's going to do things that aren't conventional in their, you know, in mindset. I don't know. Definitely was weird, and the way it went down was even weirder because Thunder Rosa basically told her to bounce, and she didn't. But then Allison Kay told her to bounce, and she kind of backed off a little bit, and that's when the other two came out. So I don't know
yeah.
if they're like, I don't know if they're like doing like a double switch where Kay's going to side with Bell and Melina, forcing Thunder Rosa face. Like, that'd be interesting, but I don't want to see them take the belt off of Thunder Rosa to do that.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like I said, you know, the young lady along with
Vox.
Vox, they're gonna be coming up and get more time to shine. But it's just interesting because, like I said, I always go back to how this whole thing started. It started with Marty Bell, you know, kind of being antagonized and then turning on Kay because she kind of felt like she needed to stand on her own and not be mocked by somebody that she thought she can beat. Obviously, she couldn't. But then she kind of sided with, you know, Rosa, who, because Rosa recruited her, and then I
Mm-hmm.
guess, you know, they kind of let Melina come in and take that spot. But you know, with the ways that they're playing Marty Bell here, I don't know how much she's actually gonna get some form of comeuppance when it comes to somebody else, because like if she gets shunned by Melina and Rosa, what, she's gonna run back to the Allison Kay side just to play, you know, a more formidable version of you know, Vox and the other young lady. You know,
Marcus,
like I feel like she needs some type of moment here.
Marcus, when it comes to Allison Kay, I have just one phrase for you. Well, it's the K show. I could very easily see her becoming the big show of the NWA. Turning heel, turning face, fighting around the world. So Thunder Rosa gets the win, and we kind of go off the air with some ambiguity, like what's going on, because Melina is also kind of vying for the number one contendership. You know,
Yeah.
there's some conversation about how that's going to go over. It was a very interesting way to end the show. though it doesn't leave much in the way of solid kind of expectations for the advancement in this. It could still go many different ways. We could get a finger poke of doom. We could get Melina bringing in someone else to take down Thunder Rosa. I don't know. I do know that as much as I've enjoyed Melina, and as much as I've enjoyed a lot of what's going on with the women's division, I don't necessarily want to see, one, Melina as champion, not when you have Thunder Rosa on the roster, and two, see Thunder Rosa lose anytime soon, because she's, like you said, she's legitimately so damn good, and she's been kind of held back. And I don't want to say held back because that may not be completely fair, but when you look at what she's done in Lucha Underground, it was really limited. Like, she could have been so much better utilized, and I think they knew that. I think everyone was aware of that. So I think it was like a very much a thing where we're now seeing what she could truly do and truly be, and I'm very optimistic about this being a situation now where we find out what truly Thunder Rosa can do as a singles performer in a bigger spotlight. She's a genuine main event potential type of talent, and that should not be discredited.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because thinking back on it now, I wonder how differently the women's portion of Lucha Underground would have been had it clearly not been such a plan to push the sexy star narrative. Like, if she had never been a thing down there, who would have been in that spot?
Yeah, and that's hard for me to think about because I really did enjoy Sexy Star. I thought she was really talented, but she obviously came with her own set of baggage and her own set of issues. So it's hard to kind of just accept the way it was and say definitively one way or another that it could have been better without her. It could have been better with her. But we got what we got, and at least now we're getting to see what Thunder Rosa can do. And considering she's also going to be on Access TV with while she's a part of Combates Americas, the MMA promotion, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to see what she can do both in a wrestling ring and in an MMA cage. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Plus, we got Booble Juice on commentary, and that was great. That was
yeah. If we're able to use her Woman Crush this week, you got to get one of the photos of her in that.
I already screen capped the photo of her at commentary.
Nice.
I can blow it up. It might be a bit pixelated, but I can blow it up. Pixel juice. So overall thoughts on this week's NWA Powerrr?
I thought it was good. I thought it was another good showing. Some really good stuff. Always moving narratives forward and some entertaining stuff. Again, the crowd is a bonus on this show because freaking Tim Storm was walking away from quote unquote Mama Storm, heavy quotations, and somebody was like,
So, with that being said, let's switch gears and let's hop on over to the Impact side of conversations. We're getting more and more names announced for this TNA event. There's a part of me that feels like they might be testing the waters for a name change. I don't know if they would, but it would be interesting to see if they would ever actually consider going back to the TNA name because this is getting a lot of good buzz, but the thing about wrestling, the thing about anything really is, when you market something as a limited experience, there's always going to be a bit more of a favorable mindset to it, as opposed to if you were to out and out try to bring it back full time. So I look at this lineup, I look at this roster, I look at these names that they've announced, and I love them all. Like, there's value in every single guy. Top to bottom, there's Chris Sabin. He's the one I'm most excited about, and he's also the one that's most likely to be re-signed to the promotion once the event comes and goes. He's already worked backstage with them, and the only reason why he hasn't gotten in the ring, before April is because he's still recovering from a knee injury. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like now that he's back full time in a month or two. Amazing Red also was announced, which is perplexing because, last year they said he was retiring. Then he came back and worked the New Japan tour. And I think he's working the Ring of Honor throwback shows. And now he's working this. So, he's pretty busy for a retired guy. Oh, and I think Master P owns his promotion now, House of Glory. So, Amazing Red's having a weird year. We got Scott Steiner. That's pretty cool. Always a fan of the 57-year-old Scott Steiner. And then we have Chris Harris, the Wildcat. First Impact match since 2011. I'm excited about this, especially if they're able to get James Storm back for one night. Reform AMW. I think, Marcus, if they reformed AMW, I will, again, not facetious, I will legitimately have a tear in my eye.
It's fun. It's not many times I see you pop via Twitter. So that was Chris Harris doing proud. Yeah.
He's going to be exciting, I think. He's not the Harris he once was, but he could be the Harris that we always thought he could be. And if not, he can always just go back to Braden Walker. I'll knock your head off. We also got the announcement, first and foremost, with D'Lo Brown and Ken Anderson representing the Aces and Eights faction. Long dead, rip. So that'll be interesting. I'm also interested to see if Ken Anderson's done with the NWA or not because, he missed the set of tapings. He missed the pay-per-view. At least I think he missed the tapings. Have we seen him since the pay-per-view?
No, we haven't. The last thing he did was that was turn on Colt, but that was at the pay-per-view, right? So
I think it was before the pay-per-view, actually. Well, it may have been at the last pay-per-view, but it wasn't at the TV title tournament because he was supposed to wrestle in the tournament, and he didn't because it was going to be Tim Storm versus Ken Anderson, but since Anderson wasn't there, Storm got the bye. So he might be done with NWA for all we know. Where he also got the announcement that producer and occasional wrestler Petey Williams will also be in the ring that night, as well as one Disco Inferno. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I've kind of enjoyed Disco in his role lately because with Disco and Johnny Swinger, that could be a very fun tag team.
Yeah, I mean, just because that was Swinger going up to people, went up to Mac and tried to replace Swan, and was Mac was like, no, I'm good, dog. You can hold that. Just walked off. But yeah, I mean, they could really be like a really good odd couple.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, at the beginning of the year, well, most of the last year, I thought this was the same guy.
So, Marcus, white people don't all look the same.
Which I'm glad you keep reminding me. But yeah, so this could be a really good odd couple pair. I hope to God they don't throw that oily SOB in there with him. Just keep Ryan in his own little corner, off as many tapings as possible, just for me personally. But yeah.
Marcus once met Danny DeVito and just kept calling him Chad. Just because we're short Italians doesn't mean we're the same person, Marcus. Racist.
To be fair, I also slipped up and called him Penguin once, so I'm sorry, Oswald. that was a sticking point move.
At least that was more of an accurate, misstep. I have more hair than Danny DeVito, though. I like Marcus. What do you think about the 8 names so far announced?
I dig it. Look, it leaves a lot of hope in my heart, and this is not just because these talents are black. For Ela Skipper and Monty Brown.
I think Monty, there's a lot of external pressure from the talent themselves to bring Monty in. And I don't think Monty is going to be a name that isn't going to be asked. I think if Monty doesn't show up, it's going to be because he just doesn't have an interest. But he has been back in the wrestling zeitgeist in the last year or so. So I think it's entirely possible that he'd be open to it for the right price. As far as Elite Skipper, he's 55? Now, I say that, and I should remember, Shamrock's 56. So maybe that doesn't matter. Apparently, Loki is already kind of, not to turn a phrase, but I'm about to. Loki has already low-key turned down the offer, so I don't know what you could do with Skipper outside of doing something with the X Division, but with Loki, like the three things that you think of is Triple X, the X Division matches, and his short time with David Young as a member of Diamonds in the Rough. I don't think you're bringing back Diamonds in the Rough. And with the announcement that the TNA folks are bringing back the Ultimate X match for the event, I still hope they bring back the 6 sides personally. I think that would be a nice little extra. I don't think you would want to put a 50-something-year-old Elite Skipper in an Ultimate X match, but I don't know, maybe. And I don't think, with Loki not being involved, or at least allegedly not being involved, I don't think that there's anything you can do with him or Daniels. So I don't know what kind of, concerted value Elite Skipper has without any of those deciding factors. Are you just going to put him in a singles match with Amazing Red? I mean, that could be interesting, but again, like, how has Elite aged? That's going to be the question. At the very least, maybe have him come down with Petey Williams because, Petey was team captain of TNA Team Canada and Elite Skipper was a member of WCW Team Canada. I don't know. Little synergy there.
Yeah.
Monty should definitely be there, though. Monty should definitely be there.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing that guy again will get I would feel will get some at least some pop on the internet just seeing that guy again because we feel like we literally haven't seen him since his Marcus Corvon days.
Because we haven't.
Yeah. So, and to me that was like a pale comparison to the Monty Brown character anyway. So,
didn't he come out to like 70s soul Louisiana funk music or some nonsense?
Yeah, some weird, goofy. Again, he was just another fail spoke on a squeaky, damn near burning wheel that was the WWE version of ECW. So, but yeah, I mean, I almost wish at this point you brought up Peter Williams. I almost wish he started like a real life thing around the bastardization of his destroyer and be like justice for the destroyer, like and start a gimmick about making that move. I'm not gonna say great again, a finisher again.
Make it a finisher again. That's great. I think you could do that too, because with PD, all you really need to do is showcase like, hey, everyone else who does this move does it wrong because people never stay down from it. But I've only ever had one person kick out in my move, and that was Eli Drake. Like one, that's it. If I hit it, it's over. And you can do like a series of matches where he hits it and he pins everyone. And it would be a great way of basically telling the rest of the industry, go fuck yourselves. I think that's a good idea. Personally. But I'm twisted like that. Besides Elite and Monty, is there any other names that you want to see on this card?
Alex and Monty, besides the two of them, I'm trying to see who have been some names that have come. He's in AEW. I'm trying to rattle through my X Division catalog.
Well, while you do that, Bill Pritchard sent out the idea of Matt Bentley and Taryn Terrell.
It'll be great to see her. I mean, look, I think I saw some recently with Brooke posted a picture of her back as a test marker day saying she missed it. Now, obviously, she's, both women are moms now, but I would imagine that itch, is still there. So, one or both of them would be great. I'm trying to see who else. I know this was brief, but is the guy, is Messiah still around?
Yeah. I mean, he was not Matanza. Who was he? He was Mil Muertes.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. But we haven't seen him since the Fall of Underground. So, I haven't seen him since the Fall of Underground.
I'm trying to think. I know there's like a name. Triton, no.
No, not Triton. We definitely won't be getting Relic back.
And Johnny Stamboli really got the ass into the stick, didn't he? Like, that dude had the look, the charisma, the athleticism, and no one knew how to use him. Breaks my damn heart. Then he goes and becomes Relic. Did you even know who that was? Did you know that Relic was John Stamboli?
No, I did. Oh, geez. Speaking of buff guy, what the freak is Rob Taylor doing these days? Because we know what Crimson's doing.
So, yes, I wanted to bring that up. I'm glad you remember that. So there was an RNC Republican National thing over the weekend in Iowa. I forget who it was. Somebody was doing a press conference or something like that, and someone in the crowd got really agitated, as one does. And then, sure as shit, as the guy's getting yanked out of the venue because he's causing a commotion, there's goddamn Crimson doing security for the event. I'm just like, ha! Crimson.
Yeah, because me and Chad, I mean, anybody that's been watching NWA have seen him several times. Like, oh, holy hell, he's real secure.
Yeah, legit. And he's a real ex-Marine or military.
Yeah, yeah, but do we know what Rob Terry's been up to? I would imagine he's still buff.
Uh, I think he's still wrestling. Although he may have followed like someone like Mason Ryan into like some sort of like circus event for all I know. I'm
Oh wow, that's
I'm unsure.
that's Alaska. Wasn't he loosely affiliated with the Menagerie?
Rob Terry was, yeah, he was the guy in the mask.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
We
That's
we we could do without ever seeing that again.
yeah. Although we the best thing that came out of it all was Crazy Steve.
Now
Um,
that's a name that I'd like to see come back, Crazy Steve. That'd be interesting.
yeah, and at this point in his career, although I'm pretty sure he like every damn body else in the company is getting a fat check for just being irrelevant, but EY is very much associated with that TNA brand.
Yeah, and somebody just tweeted out like, remember when EY was a thing and he had like a world title run, he had 2 shows. Man, Eric Young must be loving that money because God knows it's not the exposure he's getting. Um, there was a name that I had. Tracy Brooks for sure should be on this, assuming Frankie doesn't have any problems. Have Tracy Brooks
Yeah.
and Bentley reunite to do the Bentley bounce. Where's WrestleMania at this year? Orlando?
Yeah, because they got the. Oh, is it in Tampa? Because it got the whole the pirate flag thing.
Oh yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm TNA or if I'm Impact Wrestling. I may have thought to do a return to the Impact Zone. See if that would have been possible. Like that would have been cool. I don't know if they would have done it though. Here's hoping that they do though. Here's hoping that like Impact's like, listen, we're already in Tampa. Why don't we just go 2 hours inland and just rent out the production studios for the Impact Zone just for a set of tapings. Now, you don't need to be there for the long haul. Just one set of tapings. I think that would be a lot of fun. But then again, I'm also a kooky, quirky bastard, so who knows? What about Buff Bagwell? Would you want to see a Buff the Stuff return to TNA Impact Wrestling?
Yeah, as long as he was buff, that's not the guy you want to see on the falling off years of his career. Kind of like what, it's kind of hard to ask like has this guy been TNA because it feels like that's been everybody's story, whether they want to admit to it or not. But did old Conway ever come through to TNA?
Rob Conway has not. No.
Oh, okay.
Now, Rob Conway's a name that could pop up on the NWA brand because he used to be a former NWA World Champion.
Mm.
So you could get the con man, Rob Conway. In fact, I think Rob Conway actually wrestled in New Japan, defended the belt against them. Against, I think it was, it wasn't Nagata. Who's the dude with the goofy square hair with the blonde streaks on the side? It kind of goes into a mullet. Red Trunks, former world champion, New Japan.
What are we talking about? That's not. You're not talking about Makabe. Um, Not Makabe. Not Homa. Not. Uh,
I'm just gonna see if I can't find it.
it's spiky blonde hair.
Not spiky. It's more like a square.
It's not Tenzon.
I think it is
Uh,
Tenzan. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Let's see. So Conway did a lot of wrestling in Japan. Faced off with Kojima and Tenzan when he was tagging with Jax Dane. He had a lot of action with them, actually. So there's that. It was a Wrestle Kingdom match though that I'm thinking of. Let me see if I can't find it. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. NWA. Here we go. Wrestle Kingdom 8. Okay. Event. Scroll down. Nope. We want the results. There it is. All right. So Satoshi Kojima with Hiroshi Tenzan defeated Rob Conway with Bruce Tharp and Jax Dane. So that was, what was this, 8? That was just 6 years ago. Damn, that's actually a long time ago now. So, I want to say Tenzan also faced off with Conway. Let me double check. The NWA title has kind of been, before Aldis came around, it was kind of a whore belt. Everyone took a turn. So I know a bunch of New Japan stars challenged for it, and a few even held it. Let's scroll all the way down. Aldis, nope. Nope, go back. Zoom. Jeff Jarrett. Here we go. So Kahagas. Okay, so when the belt left NWA, Christian Cage was the last official champion. Then Adam Pearce won it down in Puerto Rico. He lost it to Brent Albright, the former WWE talent Gunnar Scott, who lost it back to Pearce. Pearce then lost it to Mexican legend Blue Demon Jr., who then lost it back to Pearce. Then Pearce lost it to Cabana. Cabana lost it to the Sheik. Sheik lost it, actually had it vacated for refusing to defend the belt. Pearce then regained it back, and then this is where they did the Cabana-Pearce feud. That ended up with Cabana winning it and having the belt stripped of it. Then we had Kahagas winning the belts, and then Rob Conway started his run, and he held it for a long-ass time. 294 days, and then another 257 days. And in between, Satoshi Kojima won it. And then eventually, at New Beginning in Sendai, Hiroshi Tenzan won it. And then Tenzan lost it to Jax Dane. And then that's when Tim Storm would then win the belt. After Billy Corgan's company Lightning One purchased the NWA and transitioned it into a singular promotion. So Tim Storm, then Aldis, then Cody, then Aldis. So, yeah, Tenzan and Kojima were the ones who held the NWA World's title. Marcus, you still with me?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of some names. I don't know what his standing is in the industry or in life at this point. Obviously, I think the last time we talked about him, he was potentially going back and forth in a negative fashion with Matt Hardy. But what old one half of Inc. Shannon Moore, what he's up to?
I don't have Matt Hardy, man. I think Shannon Moore actually signed on as a producer for the WWE. I could be wrong.
Wow.
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy's gonna be a free agent by then. Could reunite the immortal tag team of Chris Harris and Matt Hardy for one night only. The one night only tag team is back together.
Yeah, that's the last. I'm guessing Hardy's locked into a contract with WWE. Is he?
Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's been injured, his contract is going to be extended. But Matt, I think, is free sometime in this month.
He could return and do some of that broken stuff. Let's be honest, it thoroughly failed in WWE.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Also, apparently the Revival are again asking for the release.
Yeah, and apparently, I guess, tweeted something. I didn't see it because I don't follow either one of those guys. Tweeted something about when if we don't do anything, we're not doing enough. And if we bitch and complain, we're doing too much. Something in that thing. I'm like, just piss and get off the pot, man. Just piss and get off the pot. Either you want to be rich catering participants, or you want to be thoroughly utilized maybe lesser paid guys somewhere else in the industry doing what you supposed to say you love. Like, but don't put it on us. It's your decision to make, G.
I agree. I do. I also see where they're coming from because a lot of fans are, they're pretty damn fickle, and it's hard. It's hard to live your life when you're on social media. It really is. But on the other hand, like what Marcus said, you had the opportunity to leave, and you knew it wasn't going to get better. Like let's not pretend for an instant that these wrestlers are that stupid. You know that as long as the company is being managed by the people that it's being managed by, there's not going to be any change. So why would you be surprised that just because you signed a new deal and were used for 5 weeks, that things have all of a sudden changed for the better? That's not true. Either, like you said, leave or stay, but don't do both. Like don't complain after signing a new deal and then be surprised that we're being misused. No shit, we know that. You knew that. Like I respect guys like Dawson and whoever the other dude is, and guys like Mike Kanellis who want more for their life, but you also can't be that naive to think that things are going to change just because they tell you they are. This company's been ran the way it has been for 50 years. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine that they put a sweet offer in front of their face financially, and they had probably said to themselves, money's not enough to make us, do something that would, really put us in a bind in terms of what we can do as a talent. But then if the amount was so crazy, it was like, all right, if they can sweet talk us, we'll do it. And they allowed themselves to be BS'd, and they probably did what they do with a lot of people, promised them a title, put it on them, and then when it was convenient for them to, have them drop it like two schmucks, they did it, and we're back at square one again. So, it's on them. They know what goes on even more than the fans, and I give it. Look, like you said, the fans are fickle, and it's even worsened by the fact that a lot of times, because of a lot of these wrestling outlets, we're kind of privy to what these guys may or may not be making, or when these deals are being made, quote unquote, or when these contracts are up. So it's a little bit harder because now the fans really think they know it all.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, a lot of the asshats who were just going to talk crap anyway. Now they feel like they have information from legitimate sources. Um, so it makes it even harder. But again, it comes down to what they want to do. Either they want to be great or they just want to be greatly paid. So
Hulk Hogan's favorite brother, Booker T, apparently alluded to the idea of both men being offered $700,000 a year, and that's great money. But one, it shows the irresponsibility in WWE spending habits. They just lost like what 40 something points on their public fund. What is it? Public stock options.
yeah.
You lose 40% on your fucking stocks. That's all about leadership. That right there shows you that WWE is being poorly managed. Secondly, all this money that they're spending on all these network shows, on all these talents, they might be making a great deal of money off of the TV deals, but they're doing less, house shows. They're doing less in terms of financial numbers. Like the network has not been a success. It hasn't been a failure, but it's not been a success. If tomorrow, Marcus, the USA Networks and Fox basically said, no, we're done, they would go out of business because they would have no more money coming in. A lot of people think that like they have like this surplus of cash to live off. They don't, because they're spending so much money to keep all their ducks in a row. All these, just honestly think about this. They have two touring brands in the United States, Raw and SmackDown. They have a NXT Orlando. They have NXT London. They're trying to move into NXT Japan, but they can't find a foothold. They're trying to move into South America. They can't find a foothold. They're trying to move into Mexico. They can't find a foothold. Plus, they're running the network, which is, I think, costing them somewhere between $50 and $75 million a year to operate with all the shows and all the productions. Plus, they're doing podcasts. They're doing rehab. They're doing education. They're doing all of this. Like think about the amount of money alone to produce SmackDown has gone up exponentially because they're doing all these damn what do they call it? Third screen, fourth screen type of like 3D projections.
Yeah, those stupid things. Nobody.
Those are
asked for it.
expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
So they're putting all this money into their product more than ever, and if they don't have the money to essentially, continue to go forward, if one of these TV deals ever were to go out on them, they'd be fucked because of how much money they are spending.
Yeah, I mean, look, didn't they cut Pyro for a while as a financial expenditure?
Cut what?
The Pyro for a while as a financial.
They didn't just cut Pyro; they cut travel costs. They cut. I think that for a little time, I heard that they were making talent pay for their own gear adjustments at the facilities. Gas was not being comped for like it once was. Like a lot of things have changed in WWE that once were a very, very different thing. And I remember when this happened before with TNA. I think it was like 2007. TNA basically said we're no longer going to pay for your rentals or your hotels, and everyone lost their fucking minds. Like TNA is so cheap. Well, WWE hasn't been doing that in decades, and now TNA is once again doing it. They are now again paying for hotel rentals. So the WWE has really cut a lot of costs, and the simple fact is they didn't make as much money on the last few WrestleManias as they expected. They're making a lot of money. But when you realize that to rent out an entire football arena, to do the parking, the insurance, all of the talent and crew brought in, the amount of work hours, I would be surprised if they make $1 million off of WrestleMania. With how much money and outside contractors and insurance they have to pay to make sure that it happens. I don't know if they make as much revenue off it as people like to believe they do. So, I don't know. The WWE is kind of in this place where they need everything to go right. And so far it has. But when you fire 2 of your 5 top company officers and your stock gets hit the way it has, and you're down across revenue streams, that's a bad sign. But again, it's not going to get better unless Vince McMahon steps down. He's the problem, and he's been the problem for 30 years.
Yeah, you keep adding stuff to the shows, but creatively, you're not giving people a reason to tune in.
It's not even creatively, because I think about WCW 2000.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, that was really bad creatively, but at least it was consistent week to week. You knew what to expect. Same thing in especially in that 3-month time in WCW in 2000 when Kevin Sullivan took over booking. It was not exciting in the conventional sense, but it was consistent. You had guys every week that you knew were going to be there. You had storylines and rules and a philosophy that you knew was going to be there. So even though it was more of a throwback type of booking in from January to early April 2000, it was consistent and people still tuned in. But with the WWE today, you could watch it for 5 weeks, and from the first week you watch it to the 5th week you watch it, everything could be completely different. Like everything that mattered in that first week could be completely gone by the 5th week. There's no consistency anymore. And that's the big issue. And that's all on Vince. He has become just too bad and I don't even know if he was ever good at his job or if he just got lucky. But it's gotten to the point where Vince is actively the problem in this company and has been for years.
Yeah, and the XFL is upon us, so.
Yep.
That should be great.
Are you going to watch the XFL?
No.
I think I might watch. I think. But we'll see. Especially if I can write articles about it and make money off it. I'll definitely do it. All right. So any other bits or any other conversational topics you want to touch on before we head off?
I don't know. That was it for me.
All righty then. We are done for the night. Be sure to check out RealNerdCorp.com RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NerdCorp. We're on Instagram at RealNerdCorp. We are on Podbean at realnerdcorp.podbean.com. Or you can download the Podbean app to your mobile device and look up Real Nerd Corp on the Podbean app today. We're on iTunes at NerdCorp, NerdCorp, Twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground, YouTube.com/Wrestling Underground. You can also follow us on our comic and game side of things at Comic and Game Corps on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Comic and Game Corps. And you can search at the YouTube app or the YouTube website for Comic and Game Corps as well. We also have personals. Marcus, yours are Paradox Kid, PARADOXKID.
Me.
You can also find him on his occasional podcast, The True Penny Podcast, TruePennyShow, on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter as well at Chad Nerdcorp, CHD, NERDCORP, and on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, CHDS, PHOTOHUT. I think that's everything. So, Marcus and I will be back on Thursday with Zach. We will be reviewing the second arc in the Boys comic. I forget what it's called, but it's going to be issues 3 through like 10, I think, is what it was. So, you know, if Marcus, if you're unsure which one it is, I think Wikipedia has the arcs laid out and then issues that correspond with them. So,
Gotcha.
If not, I can help you out because I'll have to look that up myself, double check. But that's what we're going to be talking about on Thursday. Zach and I will be back on the air tomorrow for Making an Impact, reviewing this current week's episode of Impact, as well as any announcements regarding the TNA Homecoming show. I think that's everything for this week. Zach, Swisher and I are on Friday again for Season 2 of Chuck, and I don't know what we're doing Saturday for GameCorp, but we'll do something. So, with all that being said, we're done for the night. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out, and thanks for giving us a chance. We've been your hosts for the Wrestling Underground. Remember to watch more wrestling, and Marcus, take us home.
Good night, me.